There is so much in our minds that is out of our conscious awareness. So how do we work with this aspect of ourselves, our subconscious mind, and what can we do with it once we have access? Growing up, I typically would think of hypnosis when I thought of accessing the subconscious or the unconscious. And to be honest, that thought of having someone take me into a state where I was not in complete control scared me a bit. It's not something that I found particularly appealing, or this idea that I was potentially surrendering myself to open up Pandora's box and find some deep, dark, hidden secrets or emotions buried there. Certainly had no real appeal to me, and felt very threatening as far as my sense of control goes. And even the early stages of my career, I'd say up to at least halfway through my career, I would have still had that sense that hypnosis involved some sense of really being checked out of conscious awareness completely and having someone effectively in control of what I'm experiencing. And it was only when I started to have experiences like going to workshops where a self-hypnosis exercise was offered, and then later training in therapies that aim to get into the subconscious and work with trauma, that I began to realize that this state of the subconscious isn't so far out of reach, and certainly does not require me to be completely at the mercy of another individual in order to access it. So how do we do it? And what is the, minimum requirements for accessing the subconscious mind? And the short answer to that would be to move into an alpha brainwave state. And so what is an alpha brainwave state? Right now, presumably the majority of you, if you're paying attention to what I'm saying and are attentive, are in more of a beta brainwave activity state. Beta being focused, attentive, brings logic, analysis, problem solving, etc. But then if you were to lose focus and start thinking about something that you're doing later today or did yesterday, straight away you're drifting into an alpha brainwave state. So that is a classic example. Anytime we're not fully present, we're daydreaming, we're not in this here and now five senses experience fully or focused on the task at hand, we're drifting into alpha. Not so mysterious, is it? Same with watching movies, TV shows, playing video games, reading books. That act of taking our awareness into the experience that the movie or the TV show takes us into, again, requires us to go into an alpha brainwave state. This sense of being transported away to this other world. Anytime we have cried in a movie, felt scared in a movie or a TV show, felt any kind of emotional reaction to something we're engaging in that's not literally happening right in front of us, we're going into alpha brainwave state. Anytime we've become emotional because we've reflected on something from the past that was upsetting or distressing, we're moving into an alpha brainwave state. So you can see that this state is not mysterious, it is not hard to access, and we're moving in and out of it throughout a given day. That we can also use this state more deliberately take ourselves into a state of consciousness that can help us with our own personal growth, our own healing. And what's required at a minimum are a few ingredients that I like to point out to people. Firstly, it generally involves opening up to your emotions. So the conscious mind, the logical mind, it doesn't necessarily require emotional engagement to be able to work in a beta brainwave state, whereas if we're going to access an alpha state and use it for some kind of benefit or therapeutic gain for ourselves, then opening up to our emotions is one of the ingredients that supports the process. Secondly, there is engaging the imagination or imagery. Now, when I use those terms, I'm deliberately not using the word visualization. Some people think I don't have a good imagination because I don't picture things really clearly when I close my eyes. And that's fine. In fact, I'm one of those individuals. Typically, when I engage in experiential exercises, doing any kind of inner work on myself, there's not a lot of visuals that I tend to access in the experience. Some vague visuals and some general sense of some visual experiencing going on, but certainly not crisp and clear like some people who can close their eyes and create a rich, vivid scene visually. So you do not need to be able to create a vivid scene, because imagery involves see, hear, touch, taste, smell. And for me, when I say engage in an experience where, let's say I was being guided to imagine that I'm standing on a beach as a particular part of an exercise or a meditation that I was doing. While I might not see the waves perfectly and the horizon, the sand, etc. in vivid colour, the feeling I get from being on that beach is what really matters. So for me, it's a combination of the two ingredients that I've introduced already. The emotional flavour of the concept of having a beach all to myself, how I would feel in that moment, that is more than enough to be taken away to this other space, this other world that I can work within. And the third one comes on the back of the first two, which is to suspend disbelief. So again, if I use the beach scene example, if I'm not actually pretending that I'm on that beach as I close my eyes and imagine it, then I'm not going to feel maybe the relief, if that's what the exercise is supposed to do, or the expansiveness of looking out over an ocean and having it all to myself and feeling that I'm connected to that whole ocean, if that's what the guided meditation was asking of me, if I'm not suspending disbelief and actually pretending that I'm there. And so this suspending of disbelief is a choice that we make. We choose to suspend disbelief if we're going to tap into an alpha brainwave state and utilize it for the benefits of accessing the subconscious, working with emotional baggage, working with parts, working with trauma, working with inner child. So they're some examples of what we can do once we've got access to all of those types of work. And once we just put those ingredients together, we can do the inner work. It doesn't have to be some state that people would probably associate it with going in much deeper, like a theta brainwave state. A theta brainwave state, you would say, is the next level down, so to speak. It's the state that we can access in our dreams quite easily. And the main difference between, say, a theta and an alpha, as far as the ingredients I've just spoken about, is that in a theta brainwave state, we don't have to choose to suspend disbelief. In a dream, we take it at face value. It appears to be real while we're in it. And so suspending disbelief is just automatic. Whereas in an alpha brainwave state, it's more of a choice to suspend disbelief. We're choosing to go with the flow of what shows up in the experience, whether it be guided by someone or your own inner exploration, like can be the case with doing parts work or internal family systems work. So there's, I guess you would also say, a trust element that comes with this suspending disbelief. Trusting in what it is that shows up and not dismissing anything, because it's not random stuff. And this is the unfortunate thing, that when we're young, we engage our imagination so fully. We are allowed to play in this inner world and fully indulge it. And unfortunately, as we get older, I say we, generally in Western culture, this is the attitude that we tend to have, is that as we get older, past the age of 7, moving towards puberty, and the beta brainwave activity has really come online, we start to give all this importance to beta brainwave activity and kind of dismiss that imagination side of ourselves as childish and pretend and fantasy. When in reality, it's actually our access point to our subconscious. We are generally programmed out of tuning in and getting access to our own answers. We basically start to believe that our conscious mind, that our analytical mind has all the answers, when really we have this source of intuition, of higher guidance and information there just below the surface. And so when we really tap into this, when we really start to realize that we have this well of information, of wisdom, of guidance, and underneath the surface, now it doesn't necessarily present itself as verbal language, as words presented to us in this state. This information in an alpha brainwave state can come through as images, as shapes, as colours, as sensations. It's just a knowing. And so it does require, as I said a moment ago, a level of trust and leaning into knowing that what's being presented to you when you tune into these states is not just random, and is not just images popping in for no reason whatsoever, or feelings, etc., for no apparent pattern or reason, that there is actually some depth and some meaning to what's going on when we tune in. And so I'd like to offer you an experience right now to maybe have a taste, to tap in to what's there, what's just below the surface, what's there waiting to communicate to you from your subconscious. And I invite you to start this exercise, which I will ask you to close your eyes to engage in a moment, with an intention. To create an intention that you would like to ask for any kind of guidance or any kind of message from an aspect of you that you've ignored or not acknowledged as we go into this exercise. So you start with that intention. Your subconscious is listening. And now I will close my eyes, and I hope you join me too. You can keep your eyes open, but I'd encourage you to close your eyes to engage with this. And just take a few breaths and just feel the rise and fall of the chest. Just observing it as it is, not having to control anything to do with the breathing, just allowing it to be as it is, but maybe you find yourself breathing a bit fuller you deliberately tune into your breathing. And you feel your awareness just dropping in, have this attitude of openness. That goes very well with the in-breath. That as you breathe in, you're opening up your chest, you're opening up your lungs, you're opening up to air moving into your body. And that pairs beautifully with an open attitude, that you can deliberately choose to be open with each in-breath to whatever needs to present in this exercise, in this meditation. And as you breathe out, you have a sense that you're letting go. Not just letting go of the air from your body, you're letting go of expectations, of attachments, of assumptions about what's going to happen, around needing to know. You don't need to know anything. You can just let go and surrender on each out-breath. Opening and expanding on the in-breath, surrendering and letting go on the out-breath. And now I invite you to sense that you are standing in front of a doorway or archway. If you can see it, picture it to the best of your ability, the details, the colour, texture, etc. But if you don't see it, that's fine also. Just sense that that's what's in front of you. A doorway leading to another space. And now sense yourself moving through that doorway or archway. And as you move through, you immediately find yourself in a beautiful garden. Allow yourself to tune in to what's here in this beautiful garden, in your beautiful garden. Perhaps you see the details of different plants or objects in your environment. It could be a pond or some water or other elements that just happen to appear here in your garden. Or perhaps you are more aware of how the grass feels underneath you, or the smells, or the warmth of the sun as it beams on you. The wind perhaps gently blowing past you, if that's a feature. And just allow yourself to feel very at home in your garden. And then become aware that there is some aspect of your garden calling to you. Again, it might be an object, it might be a plant, a tree, anything. Any aspect of your garden that feels like it stands out a bit more or is drawing you closer. And move towards that particular part of the garden. And allow yourself to connect with this aspect of the garden. And as you connect with this aspect, I invite you to ask it what it has to offer you, if it has a message for you. And now be vigilant about what happens next. It does not have to be that an answer comes to you in the form of words. It may be that another image pops into your awareness, a feeling comes to you, a memory, a sensation. A knowing. Trust in it. Whatever it is that comes to you next, do not dismiss it. Trust. It may be related to the particular object or item, or may be completely unrelated. It doesn't have to make any logical sense whatsoever. But just lean into the knowing and the trust of what is being offered by this aspect of the garden. And thank this aspect of your garden for giving you this message, whether it be some guidance, a reminder, something you've neglected perhaps. But trust in the messaging as you bring that back with you and walk towards the doorway or the archway, feeling blessed to have interacted with your garden and come back with a message. And as you step back through that doorway, sense yourself now coming back into the space that you're in, more fully tuning into your five senses. Two of your five senses perhaps at the minimum, your sense of touch, maybe the sounds going on around you, and come back into the here and now experience. When you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back into the space fully. For me, my experience there was of a tree. I was drawn to a very large, impressive tree, and when I tuned into it, some words just came to me. Words around groundedness, strength, not having to prove anything to anyone. That was the sense that I got just from this brief interaction with the tree that presented to me in my garden. And I hope you connected with some message yourself. Now, if you didn't, that's okay. It could be because there's a part of you that is skeptical, a part that doesn't trust in suspending disbelief, a part that just thinks it's too simple and that couldn't be possible, and that's okay. If there's logical parts that don't allow you to do that very easily, then that's okay, and maybe you might be interested in exploring that part of yourself further and seeing whether that part of yourself might be willing to give you space and allow you to explore your own inner world. But the space that I just took you into is a space that I enter with my clients on a daily basis, doing parts work or internal family systems work, doing trauma processing work. And it really is as simple as what we just did then. So I really do invite you to spend time in that inner space in meditation, to not just treat meditation like a time out and a quiet space where you might escape from the world, even though meditation most definitely offers that opportunity to tap into presence. But in the state of presence, we can receive messages, just like the example used there. So pay attention. Your subconscious is constantly feeding you wisdoms and messages, and it's not hard to tap in.